Where? Another 800 million stadium deal? I don't know. You know, but we knew about that. Ammunition sales, you're gonna have to go through a background check every time you produce ammunition. The interesting part about that, I asked a question. I said, so I own an M&P 40, and I want to buy 9mm ammunition. They look at my list, and I don't have a 9mm on my license. The question was, can I purchase that? And they said, well, why would you want it? Because I can. You see what I'm saying? So that's going to be another way of trying to control what you have, what you own, what you have in your gun safe, for that matter. So it was something that was very alarming to me when I looked at that. And again, this puts so much undue pressure on the gun store owners. Unbelievable. To be able to have to do that every time. You know, statewide license database. I think they're, you know, here's another one, which you just, again, self-storage. If I cannot carry in what they deem a sensitive place, and I'll get to the sensitive places here next, I have to basically break down, so take my clip out, make sure that my pistol is unloaded. I cannot just leave it in the car. It has to be under basically lock and key in a storage container, a storage box, whatever term we want to use. They call it just a safe storage. They talked about some body armor, which really doesn't matter because you can go over to Pennsylvania and buy it and bring it back. So I mean, they thought that they were doing a really good piece of legislative business there. The biggest part that came out of this was what they have deemed now to be considered sensitive places. Places that you and I, as me as a permit holder since 1986, will not be able to carry. And I can read through each and every one of these, but I'll give you some of the highlights. I always start off with this one. This is the one that means really the most to me. This is one of the places now that I will not be able to legally carry my sidearm. Any gathering of individuals to collectively express their constitutional rights to protest or assemble. Every 2A rally is now illegal. Every rally is illegal to carry your sidearm. Any place owned or under the control of federal, state, or local government for the purposes of government administration.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I kind of like it. Locations providing health, behavioral health, chemical dependency, and so on. That's one of the parts for me as a member of my squad. Can't carry there, couldn't carry into the hospital. Places of worship or religious observation, libraries, public playgrounds, public parks and zoos, nursery schools, preschools, summer camps, homeless shelters, runaway home, residential settings, licensed, certified, regulated, or funded by the Department of Health. Building or grounds of educational institutions, including colleges, universities, licensed private career schools, school districts, public schools, private. So where I'm going is this. They have, so they think, effectively made it that we literally cannot carry in all the places that you would want to carry. That is what that was their goal. That's what they're trying to do. I've spoken to a bunch of law enforcement. I've spoken to sheriffs around. The majority of those are saying that they're just basically not going to enforce, which was refreshing to hear. It truly was refreshing to hear that. The potential issue that I see, and I'm only going from what I've experienced somewhat over the years, there's sometimes a little bit of a disconnect between state police and local sheriff department. So if the state police want to institute that law under those conditions, the question becomes, do they override our local sheriff? Technically, the sheriff is the highest law enforcement in your county, and he carries that authority. So as you can see, there's a lot of gray area that even I, at this point, do not know. We're trying to find out. I am consistently and constantly asking for guidance from my colleagues from across the aisle, which I have heard nothing from. Absolutely zero from. I'm going to tell you this from me. When I was on the campaign trail, I actually got threatened with bodily harm. Periodically before that, I would carry, now I will tell you that if it's not on my person, it's extremely close. And I will continue to do that. I am not going to let this stop me from doing what I feel I have to do to protect not only myself, more importantly my family. And I will even go as far as to say, and we just saw it out in Indiana, did we not?
Yes.
Where a young 22-year-old, and here's the part that got me the most, that I really was excited about. He was 22, and they're saying that we shouldn't give the rights to 21-year-olds. And here we have a 22-year-old young man who had the presence of mind to neutralize a threat. And it goes 100% against everything that they've said. And as you've seen too, a lot of the major news networks haven't picked it up. So it should be our goal. It should be what we do to bring that information out, scream it from the tops of the treetops. After this, I'm asked, what can we do? We can't, I was at a meeting. You're going to hear this again. I was at other meetings and I hear, shit, my vote doesn't count. I'm the vote. You know what? I said, you're exactly right. Your vote doesn't count because when you don't vote, guess what? It doesn't count. And I have seen where people now have started to basically just give up. And that's part of it, guys. I mean, that's part of what they're trying to do. They're trying to make. I told them you could make it so that if I had to stand on my head for 8 hours and recite Shakespeare backwards, as one of the, I'll do it. I'll do it. I am not going to let them, in any way, shape, or form, stop me from doing that. Now, I know there's other things. There's the financial side. There's if you're in a job. I mean, you're talking 18 hours. That's a lot of time, to devote to this. But for me, I'm not going to let that deter me or stop me from doing what I feel is right. What can we do? The only way we're going to start to reverse this and to address this is at the ballot box, by far. I know. I hear it all the time. There's a 2-to-1 advantage. There's this. I can unequivocally, my dad always had a saying, a man who says he can and a man who says he can are both right. We have to do it at the ballot box. And I am asking each and every one of you to find 2 individuals that basically have either given up or said my vote doesn't count, and convince them, drag them, do whatever you have to do to get them to vote. That's one of the only ways we are going to stop this madness, by changing in the state senate. Right now there's a supermajority, so they don't have to talk to us. They really don't. Changing that dynamic alone, which will, if we have five seats, which are doable, five positions in the Senate, will take away the supermajority. And that's attainable. That changes a lot of the dynamics, believe it or not. Because believe it or not, there are a couple, and I've said this too, I'm starting to see some, and there are a few, I'll use the word not quite all the way left-leaning Democrats that are moving a little bit back more to the center, because they're seeing what's coming out. You know, we're talking about a red wave. Well, we're gonna see, to what degree, I don't know, but we are going to see a change. And we are gonna see, I think, there are some conservative Democrats out there that aren't telling how they're gonna vote, but I have had some of them off the record tell me that the left has just gone totally nuts.